Hi, heathens. So, I'm I'm actually a little nervous for this video because this is very different than the normal from the normal content that I upload, and I really don't know if anyone's going to be interested in it, but I got the idea from a combination of different things. So Michael and I watch a bunch of channels that review like songs and movies, and I also watch, I'm sure all of you know who she is, but Bailey Sarian, who does the Makeup, Murder, and Mystery Mondays. And I was like, you know what? Why not? Because I have a lot of free time when I'm not working and cleaning. Why don't I watch movies and do my makeup while I talk about a movie? I am sure I'm gonna say a lot in this video because I tried to rehearse in my head and do like a mini script, but I feel like the flow is gonna be better if I just talk how I'm thinking it. I'm sure that there are other channels that do this, and if so, please list them down below. I don't know of any that do specifically movie reviews while doing their makeup, but I'm sure that I'm not the first person to come up with it, so I would love to give credit where credit is due. I'm not going to put a lot of focus on what products I'm using. I'm gonna go ahead and take these off. I am embracing my inner lion today. If you can't tell, my hair is just a mess. I don't know what to do with it, so we're just gonna leave it like this. The movie that I'm going to talk about today, disclaimer, there will be spoilers because I am going to go into detail about the movie and my thoughts. It is called The Invitation. I was able to watch it on Netflix, and yeah, so my initial thought before I get into the actual breakdown is that in my personal opinion, and I'm gonna go ahead and start on my makeup while I talk. I am by no means, a movie critic, don't really know a whole lot about film as far as having the actual qualifications to review a movie. So take everything I say with a grain of salt, because my opinion may vary completely from yours. And if you have a differing opinion, I would love to hear it down below. And that's one reason that I like watching movies with my boyfriend so much, is because both of us can give our opinions on the movie as a whole and different scenes and everything like that, and discuss why we liked or didn't like certain things. And it makes it a lot more interesting, in my opinion, to get another point of view. So if you like this movie, more power to you. Please explain to me your opinion on it down below. Maybe I'm just being super critical. Maybe I'm over or under thinking something severely. Anyway, my opinion is it gets like a 6 out of 10. Like, maybe a 5 out of 10. Not by far not the worst movie I've ever seen, but also by far not the best. So, it starts out with this guy and his girlfriend in the car, and they've gotten an invitation from his ex and her new boyfriend, husband, to... You see this cat hair? What? How did it come out of my brush? Anyway, to come visit them. They're throwing some kind of party. The first time I tried to watch this movie, about 3 minutes in, I had to stop because I just was not in the mood for what happened. Because really early on, while they're still in the car, headed to the house where everything takes place, the movie tries to set the tone with the spooky, creepy, something's going down vibe by making the couple in the car hit a coyote, and he has to put it out of its misery with a tire iron. Granted, you don't actually see any of this, but I just was not in the mood for this, so I had cut it off the first time I tried to watch it. So when I finally got back into it, that was where I picked up, and they go, and obviously I know, like I said, that that's trying to set the tone for the movie and build up that spooky suspense, ooh, bad things. But like going into it, you know it's supposed to be like a horror thriller type movie. So anyway, they get to this house, and it's this huge, huge house in this really nice neighborhood, and the new girlfriend, whose name is Kira, is just kind of like, you used to own this house, or this used to be yours? And Will, the main character, brooding boyfriend, is like, oh no, there was a lot of money in Eden, his ex's family, and it belongs to them. Which should also be a plot point, but it's kind of glossed over a little bit. So we get inside, and they reunite with some old friends. It's got the one thing I will give this movie that it does pretty well is it has a pretty diverse range of characters. Everyone kind of serves a point. So anyway, you're introduced to some of the friends, none of which are Eden yet, who is referred to in most of the movie as Edie. So if you hear me say Edie, that is Eden, the ex-girlfriend who is throwing the party. Or ex-wife, I'm not 100% sure. So anyway, you're introduced to all these characters, and clearly they haven't seen each other in a while, and they make reference to the fact that it's hard for him to come here, but they don't really explain if it's hard for Will because it's his ex-girlfriend, or if something happened. Because, you know, sometimes with exes, it's just weird to be around them. Because, you know, in most cases, they're exes for a reason. Whether by your choice or theirs, but still. So, anyway, it starts off already uncomfortable because Will's looking down the hall, and there's this girl standing at the end of the hall in nothing but a t-shirt and no underwear, and she just gives him this, like, really sensual look and then walks off, which already builds this kind of weird, awkward tone, and I was like, not sure if this is what I'm in the mood for, and it just kind of made me uncomfortable because I'm looking for a thriller, not a sexual thriller. So we finally meet Edie, and one of the friends, Choi, who is Gina's, she's one of the friends, her boyfriend, apparently he's super unreliable, he is late. So that is a plot point. We finally meet Edie and her new boyfriend. They just got back from Mexico. You know, Will talks to Edie a little bit about how it's good to see her, and, you know, he's been thinking about her, blah, 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 blah. But he's really uncomfortable because it's just awkward. Her and her boyfriend are super nice, hug Will and Kira, try to make them feel welcomed. Everyone's sitting around the table. You finally meet the girl that was down the hall half naked, whose name is Sadie. Apparently they met Sadie when they were in Mexico, and she came back with them. Seems a little sketch, but, you know, whatever. Also, I am going to try to continue talking while I do my eyeliner, and I'm not good at eyeliner to begin with, so we'll see how this goes. So anyway, you're introduced to Sadie, who comes across a little psychotic. You know, she's not quite all there. She's a little hyperactive. she's just made out to be a little unstable, especially with that first scene where you first see her. So then, fast forward, doorbell rings. You are introduced to a character named Pruitt, who apparently Sadie knows, I guess, another buddy from Mexico. And she gets super excited. So at first, it kind of comes across like maybe he's her boyfriend, but then turns out no. So Edie and Will are in the kitchen talking, and she makes a comment about how anger and grief and depression are optional. And I believe at this point you've got a few flashbacks from Will. It at this point hasn't told you exactly what happens yet, but it's flashbacks of him and Edie. So she's saying that, you know, something she learned in Mexico is that all of these negative emotions are optional, and, you know, he could really just let go if he wanted to. He doesn't have to hold on to this and suffer, because that's what she did, and she's happy now. And Will, like I said, has been led up to be this very upset, brooding type guy because of whatever. So he's like, well, that sounds kind of strange, that you would just let go of everything that's happened. And at this point, Ben, who is one of the friends, walks into the kitchen, and Ben has been led up to be kind of like the class clown, and he realizes that he's interrupting like an intimate moment, and Edie explains to him that she's just explaining to Will that pain is optional. You can heal, you can let it go, you can forgive, the whole nine. And Ben, probably like anyone watching, is like, that sounds like a load of crap. It just seems a little far-fetched and skeptical. And Edie slaps the absolute crap out of him. Tells him essentially that nobody ever cares what he thinks, and until he learns to grow up and take something seriously, no one's ever going to care about anything he says. So Will and Ben have this little moment in the kitchen after Edie leaves, and then they go join everyone else. They decide to play this game that apparently they used to play in Mexico, and it's called I Want, which is a twisted version of Never Have I Ever. That's how they explain it. They don't say twisted, but it's the twisted version. So instead of Never Have I Ever, you say what you want. No holding back. So an example of this is that Edie, when it gets to her turn, wants to kiss Ben, the guy that she just slapped. So they kiss, and it's very intimate. It's not like a quick little meh, which is what Ben tries to make it, because clearly he's a little confused and uncomfortable by it, because it just went from this lady slapping the sense out of you to saying, I want to kiss Ben, I've always wanted to kiss Ben. Alright, so Sadie's I want is to tell everyone that she loves them, even though she just met most of them, and then she kisses Gina. Not necessarily in that order. I think Sadie's comes before Edie's, but still. So then Pruitt goes, they're from Mexico, buddy. And his want is that he wants to tell everyone there about his wife. And he goes on about this story about how much he loves her and misses her and thinks about her on nights like this. Is that bronzer a little too intense? I'm still not used to bronzer, and I feel like this is a little aggressive. So anyway, Um, one of the friends, I think it was Miguel. Miguel is in a homosexual relationship with one of the other friends. They're a very sweet couple, but he asks if the wife had passed away. And Pruitt admits that she has passed away, but that it was his fault. That they were fighting in the kitchen one night and he lost control and hit her. She fell over, hit her head, and died. So, everyone's kind of taken aback because, oh, he also admits that he went to prison and served his time, and so he paid for it by that. But everyone's very appalled because they weren't expecting this story to take that turn. People pass away, but no one was expecting it to end with, oh yeah, I accidentally killed her. So, one of the friends, Claire, who hasn't been built up a whole lot to this point, at this point stands up and is like, I'm really uncomfortable. So my sister, I'm really uncomfortable. I'm going to leave. And at first, the new boyfriend of Edie tries to get her to stay. Will gets very defensive and he's like, why can't she just leave? She's an adult. Let her do what she wants. So she leaves. One of the other friends later mentions to Will that she probably left because she's, and I quote, sexually awkward, which, TMI, but I guess so am I, because this whole time, everything leading up until this moment has made me uncomfortable. Literally the only thing that's felt in place has been the story of dude accidentally killing his wife. Because it's the only thing that's made it like, oh, maybe this is a horror thriller. Something's gonna come of this story. So, anyway, I was actually talking to a friend while I was watching it, and I was like, yeah, I feel like I'm watching a movie about a cult. Spoiler alert. So, I don't remember if it was... No, okay, so before Claire leaves, one of the things that makes her leave... Sorry, I'm jumping all over the place. This is why I tried to do a script, but it just wasn't for me. Not to mention that while I'm doing this, I don't have glasses on. I can't see anything anyway. They start talking about how it's all a little cultish because he learned to forgive himself from accepting the invitation title card. And that was what they had learned in Mexico. That's how Edie has let go of the grief of whatever happened with her and Will. And, someone makes the comment that it seems cultish. And they're like, well, actually, since y'all are all here, there's something we'd really like to show you. And they get a laptop that has a video on it from the man who presumably started the cult. And you watch a woman literally on her deathbed. And, there's nothing gruesome about it. She's just dying. But he gets someone else to sit on the bed and he's like, breathe in. Do you feel her? Come on. Yeah. I'm telling about that weird movie. He's like, get on the bed and breathe in deep. Do you feel her soul? And the woman's like, yes, I do. And it's all really weird. So that's one of the other things that makes Claire really uncomfortable because everyone's like, holy crap, we just watched someone die. Y'all recorded it. That's weird. So, anyway, Claire finally leaves. And fast forward, you wind up finding out that the reason things are awkward between Will and Edie is because obviously they used to be together, but they also had a child together, and he passed away, which is the grief and suffering that Edie is supposedly let go of, that Will has not. So, Will is just super skeptical of this whole thing, the whole night, the whole situation. He sees Edie go in her bedroom and put something in the bedside table drawer, and sneaks in there, and it's a bottle of unmarked pills. So he takes them to Miguel and asks Miguel what they look like. And Miguel says that they look like some kind of pill. I believe he says it was a barbiturate, which are kind of hard to get a hold of. Not necessarily dangerous if you're taking a correct amount. But it, of course, makes Will kind of suspicious, because if she's all happy and everything's okay, why does she need these? So it just intensifies Will's paranoia, and the movie the whole time is making him out to be crazy, because every time he has a suspicion about something, it's kind of shot in the foot. So they're having a little party. Will goes outside. There's no signal in the house, by the way. So he finally gets signal outside and has a voicemail from Choi, the very irresponsible, never on time boyfriend of Gina, who is saying that he has pulled up. It's 7 o'clock, which was hours before. He's actually early for once, but he had forgotten to bring dessert like he said he was going to, and asked Will to get some on the way. Now, obviously, Will did not get it in time to get dessert, but is receiving it now, and obviously Choi is not there. So he goes back in, everyone's sitting around the table, they've just had dinner, and he freaks out on Edie and asks where Choi is. And of course, at this point, Gina's getting suspicious, because Will's like, I had a voicemail from Choi, and he said that he was here. He left me the voicemail outside your door. Both Edie and her boyfriend, whose name I just genuinely don't remember, get very defensive, because they're saying that they have not seen Choi. He did not show up to the house, and, Will just needs to chill out. So Will's spazzing. Someone knocks at the door. Lo and behold, it's Choi, who apparently, right after leaving his message to Will, had gotten called into work and had to leave. Had left a voicemail for Gina, which she never got. And Will now feels like he's a crazy butthole. So he's trying to chill out. He's apologizing. He asks to go see their son's old bedroom. And, you get a little more kind of glimpse into all that. Fast forward. I'm skipping over some insignificant parts, in my opinion. So you're finally getting into the meat of what's happening. Because he's upset that Edie has joined this cult and left behind the memory of their son. So he asks to see his room, which they have transformed into a different room. Like, it's in Will's mind, it's going to be the same that it was when their child was alive, and it's not. So he finds under the table the laptop where the video of the lady dying was on, and decides to pull it out and watch some of the other videos on it. And one of them is from the same, cult leader. And, he makes a comment that's just very suspicious, because he's talking about, I love you all so much it breaks my heart, but you'll join me and we'll go somewhere better. Very Jim Jonesy. So it's like Jim Jones meets Heaven's Gate. Alright, so Will finally rejoins everyone, has calmed down, feels bad about having freaked out and was scaring everyone because he had everyone up in arms that they were going to be hurt. So, you know, anyway, they're all sitting there, and now that everyone's all happy and they've celebrated Miguel's birthday, because that's a thing that happened, they pour little glasses of wine and go to celebrate, and the boyfriend gives this little speech, and it culminates something along the lines of, and here's to a better place, or something like that. And Gina starts to take a sip of hers, and it clicks for Will, and he's like, holy crap, knocks the drink out of his girlfriend's hand, like shattering the glass, and just starts screaming at everyone not to drink it, not to drink it, not to drink it. Sadie spazzes out, telling him that he's ruined everything, and attacks him, and he winds up knocking her unconscious. At first you think he's killed her, but no, he hasn't. So, ugh, my mascara's clumping. Do y'all see that? So anyway, new boyfriend takes out a gun and starts shooting people. Gina's dead. They find out that she's not breathing because, spoiler, the wine was poisonous, like Will thought. And, I just realized I'm covering the camera. So, they start trying to run away. Edie and her new boyfriend and Pruitt and Sadie, who's not dead, are trying to kill everyone. They succeed with quite a few people. You've got the, drama of them being around the house because after Claire left, new boyfriend locked the door. And so everyone is stuck in the house. Kira and Will wind up killing Pruitt. While they're hiding up the stairs. So one thing that happens, Edie gets the gun and shoots Will in the shoulder. Then is just so overcome with guilt that she just tried to kill Will that she shoots herself in the stomach. And, while she's on the floor, she admits to Will that she misses their son. She hasn't gotten over it, and she's just wanted to leave the earth ever since, which is why she was so enthralled with the idea of this cult, which is essentially, apparently if you take someone else's life or something, you're saved. I don't really know. They don't really explain what sacrificing someone else or them dying with you has to do with anything. But, yeah, so Gina and Will and one of the other guys managed to get out, and when they're all outside, Edie had them take her body outside, by the way, into the backyard. So when they're all outside, Will sees a little, red lantern hanging in the backyard and starts looking around, into the neighborhoods over the hills and stuff, and realizes that they're everywhere and that it must be a sign of this cult, and apparently, tonight was the night type thing. And he's just like, holy crap. And you hear sirens and helicopters, and it just pans out to all these houses that have these red lanterns. And then that's it. So, all in all, it probably doesn't sound too bad. Suspenseful, blah, 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 blah. Except the suspenseful part doesn't come until, the last 20 minutes of the movie. Which, in my opinion, it's just not worth it. And there are some parts in it that are just added to make the viewer uncomfortable, in my opinion. And it's not worth it because that's not what they're leading into. There's a part where Sadie's sitting outside with Will while he's having his little moment to himself, and she starts making sexual advances. And he's clearly not interested, and it, like, offends her. But the whole movie leading up to that is just very sexually driven, but not in a, in my opinion, not in a well done way. It's very awkward and forced and just uncomfortable. But, yeah. I mean, I think there were some things that it definitely did right. And obviously there are some parts that I've left out. But I don't know. I just think that it's not necessarily a movie worth watching unless that's your thing. You know that there's a certain group of people that are probably very into that type of movie. And there's nothing wrong with that. More power to you. Obviously, it has to have an audience. So I'm not hating on anyone who has watched it and enjoyed it. It just isn't for me. If I watch a horror movie, suspense movie, thriller movie, I want there to be something leading up to it. And they make Will out to be crazy and then not crazy in such a way that it's kind of like, obviously he's going to be right. Or maybe I've just seen way too many horror thrillers that plots have become predictable. So yeah, if you've watched that movie, let me know what your thoughts were down below. What would you rate it out of 10? Am I just being way too critical? Am I putting way too much thought into it? Or am I not putting enough thought into it? I'd love to know your opinions down below. If you're interested, go watch it and then let me know. But yeah, this is a series that I kind of want to start doing because I feel like it gives me something to talk about while I do my makeup. And I might be able to get some other people who are really interested in movies, and we can have some really interesting discussions in the comments about movies we like or don't like. A lot of the movies that I'll probably be watching are like horror, suspense, thriller movies, because that's just what I like watching in my spare time. So yeah, let me know your thoughts, and let me know if this is a series that you're going to keep watching. If you know someone who might be interested, let them know to come check me out. Let me know what you thought of this makeup. I kind of had a plan going into it, but it changed a little bit. Halfway through, I did start with my brows on. Sorry. I will try to remember to list everything in the description box down below that I used in case you're interested. I hope all of these products are still available. I didn't consider that prior to starting, so that's something I'm probably going to have to keep in mind. So that was it. That is my thoughts on the movie The Invitation. Let me know your thoughts, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!